Okay, hello, I'm back. This is Rachel and from live from the NFST 2022 at Phoenix. So I'm here with two wonderful lady, two fighters. Okay, so let's tell us your name and introduce to us what you do. Okay.
I'm Jamie Silvestri, and I'm here with the PatriotChicks.
I'm Vicky Richter, and I'm with PatriotChicks too.
So thank you for stopping by and thank you for chatting with us. So what you learned so far about our mission as the new federal state of China? Who wants to start first?
I'm very excited with what you guys are working on here. I come from New York, and there have been a lot of partnerships in New York where we have many sister cities with China, where money is being sent from America back to China. We've seen locations of the Chinese secret police set up in New York. And the whole point, I ran for office in 2020. I won on election night a month later. I was on Long Island. I ran on Long Island, and I won on election night a month later. That was no longer a victory. But what's very interesting, that's a comparison I've noticed, is that there is a uniparty that does not want the people to have a voice. And when you look into the energy of New York, where the contracts are coming into New York, the sister city partnership, the CCP police being there, and these elections being rigged, it's very simple to see what type of footprint the CCP is bringing into America, and every American needs to stand up and stop it. We are the last bastion in the world of freedom, and if we allow this to keep happening, we will have no freedom in this world anymore.
So I have a background in Special Forces PsyOps veteran. I was in the military in the German Bundeswehr, and I'm now as an investigative journalist a lot at the border, and I see all the illegals and the problem with fentanyl. And fentanyl is a big friend of the CCP too. So this.
I know that they're actually exported from China.
Yeah.
So we're the Chinese government actually control a lot of manufacturing for the fentanyl, and they export it to basically United States, and killing a lot of Americans.
Yeah. So all this communist idea is not healthy for the whole world. So I was born in Eastern Germany under a socialistic dictatorship. I fled with my mother when I was 2 years old to live in a free country, to grow up in Western Germany, and with all this COVID, all this the socialistic communist idea, what the CCP does in China, came suddenly to Germany. We couldn't go out. We had lockdowns. We didn't have such bad lockdowns what you have, but we still had lockdowns in Germany, in a Western country. My daughter had to wear a yellow bandage because she was not allowed to wear the mask. So everyone could see at her school that she is dirty, or she could have the virus because she is not putting a mask on. I got on a hit list of the Antifa, and my daughter too, because I was going on protests, reporting about the protests. So we got the experience what you have with censorship. And I feel so bad that this communistic dictatorship is now in the whole world, because the whole CCP idea is ideology, is now in the global government, and this is what the elite wants to implement into the whole world. So I think the first thing what we have to do is fight the CCP, get back our election integrity, get borders to don't get the illegals into America, and then fight back the whole ideology of this of the CCP and a communistic nightmare. You can't only say anything; it's a nightmare.
You can relate to that.
Yeah, and to add on to that point too, what you were saying back to the fentanyl issue, a lot of these states, especially on Long Island where I'm from, there's a massive amount of overdoses going on. And you do have a lot of local groups and law enforcement working to do what they can. But when you have people that are being allegedly elected into office who are passing laws that allow this overflow to keep happening, why is New York City still a sanctuary city when we have the most overdoses happening in record history. And I'm sure if you look at any other state that really accepts this communist, socialist ideology where these politicians are benefiting off of it, I'm pretty sure you will also see a high uptick in overdoses from fentanyl.
And when you see who the CCP funds all, Antifa. Antifa is the militia of the communists. And even when you see, so I was on a ride along in last year, November, in Arizona, and we stopped a car. The whole tire was full of fentanyl pills. Do you know how many people you can kill with those things? You don't even know how much of fentanyl you have in the other drugs. Maybe a young guy wants to smoke a joint and buys marijuana, but the cartels put fentanyl in it, and then he dies. So this is
Right.
And you know what? Have you heard about the 3F plan? So this is the highest classified intelligence. Okay, so broken out first by the new federal state of China and the brave whistleblowers. So the 3F stands for foment weakness, foment chaos, foment destruction of America. Okay, that's what the CCP wanted to achieve at the end. They want to destroy America. So fentanyl, or we say digital fentanyl, because the digital fentanyl is TikTok. I'm not sure whether you heard that phrase. Okay, exactly. So they're coming out of all direction. I mean, you mentioned about your personal experience as being persecuted when your mom and brought you over, and then in Eastern German bloc. So this is right now the Chinese people are enduring, and we have been enduring this kind of persecution for 72 years. Okay, and then there's 400 million Chinese already died because of the evil regime. Okay, so and they're coming to America, as you already identified. Have you known any other infiltrations that CCP has done into American life? Because you mentioned about fentanyl. Is there anything else?
yes,
Police station?
fact checkers.
Fact checking.
The fact checkers. So
1,000 grains of sand as well. Bringing over foreign exchange students, having them placed into some of our highest universities, and then having those students come back and stealing the technology, bringing it back to the CCP.
Yeah. What about investment they made? Because they made this strategic investment into the university, into the academic, into the faculty member, and they have a 1,000 talent program. They recruit those professors and graduates from the famous top university in the United States, and give them the salary, ask them to work for the CCP, and attach with the stringent conditions that you have to share some sensitive information. Okay.
And like I said, with the fact checkers, they are paid or they get funded by the CCP, so they are not actually journalists anymore. They are all a propaganda unit of CCP
operatives.
Yeah.
Right, they're operatives hired by whoever is on the ground that working for the CCP. So they're everywhere. So you guys are really, your knowledge is way above average America. So what you want to say to average America when you approaching everyday mom and pom, they're so nice, they love freedom, they wanted to help, but they don't know where to start. What would you suggest them to start?
I have a good one for this. I would suggest for them to go to Queens, New York, find one Chinese woman who escaped on her own, and ask her what her experience was like. Because the amount of women that I've spoken to personally who were raped or abused along the way just so they could have a taste of freedom for a moment. And all these people who are sitting down quietly just accepting whatever the TV is telling them, whatever the newspaper is printing out there. If you can look another human in the face and tell them that your experience doesn't count over what a TV or a newspaper is telling you, I want you to then stop and look in the mirror and ask yourself, who am I?
And I want to say freedom is not free. Yes. And when you sacrifice your freedom for the idea of safety, that's the worst thing what you can do. Because we have to fight for our freedom, and people in America has to wake up. They have to wake up. They have to get out from their couches. They can't say, oh, I'm free and we are the land of the free and the home of the brave. Okay, show us the bravery. Save the world. You are the world savers. That's what you are saying since decades. Get off the couch. Please help us saving the world, because Jamie can't do it alone. I can't do it alone. You can't do it alone. We can't. Yeah, we can just expose it, and people has to see what we expose, and then they have to react.
That's great advice. So if I'm telling you there's a more concerning things happening right now in the United States, especially the Chinese Communist Party bought out a lot of big American law firms and lawyers. Okay, so the Chinese government allowed the foreign law firms to set up their representative office in China in 1992, 30 years ago. Okay, so there's a lot of international law firms sent their expatriates working in China. Okay, and the Chinese government has been targeting them as targets of espionage, and they use their methods to coerce them. They capture a lot of evidence about those people living in China. Okay, they use something called BGY. It's blue and gold and yellow tactics. These are satanic weapons. They attempt to, solicit your temptation and basically make you do wrong things. And then they capture that video, and then so they can use it as evidence against you, so they can blackmail you. Okay, so when those international lawyers left China and came back to United States, do you think where they go, their lawyer, where do they go when they come back to United States?
California, New York.
My first thought was Epstein Island.
Okay, so they actually go to, yes, all those places, but they are, because they trained in law. So a law degree opens so many doors in them in US. Okay, they can go to the judicial branch, of course, up and down judges and lawyers, right? In DOJ. They're going to executive branch. How many American presidents are trained as a lawyer? You can count on that. There's a lot. And they're going to your legislative branch, right? How many senators and the House of Representatives are trained in law? So this is a profession the Chinese Communist Party are targeting, okay? And they're trying to infiltrate your rule of law system. And we find that's very disturbing because the big law firms like Paul Hastings, like O'Melveny, they're taking billions of Chinese communist money and they're doing the dirty bits and persecuting the Chinese dissidents on American soil. They're silencing us. So how does that make you feel when you heard about this? What's your initial reaction or thought?
I mean, it's outrageous. And the whole time you were talking as well, I was thinking, I know it's different, but it also reminds me of the farmland being bought up. And if the farmland can be compromised and our food system is compromised, and on top of it, our legal system is being compromised in that manner, it's even more of a reason why what you guys are doing is so important here, because people are not hearing this message. Like Vicky mentioned, the media is compromised here. There's so much censorship because it's state-owned propaganda. Obama allowed that in 2008. They have been doing nothing to reverse it. Everyone mocked Trump for calling it fake news when that's exactly what it is. But that's exactly why, because they do not want us to know how sold out we are to the communists. And you mentioned the point about it being satanic. The thing is that this country was founded on Judeo-Christian values, and those values being taken away from the people who are seeking it. You don't even need to be practicing those religions. People just want those morals and values that are behind those religions, behind those ideologies. And lawyers are oftentimes joked around about being some of the most evil, and I don't believe that personally. There are a lot of people that are working on our side. However, when you do hear how people who do have that experience are using it to weaponize people who are whistleblowing, that's a problem. That's a huge problem.
And I'm sure there's a lot of great lawyers in America. They're good people. It's just the evil CCP has targeting this profession because they see this is opportunity for them to infiltrate the whole entire society, because you have a separate power, right? Not like in China, we have the dictatorship. What you have, the system is the best, although it's not perfect, but it's best on planet Earth, right? But they're trying to destroy you. They're trying to destroy the very fundamental thing that makes America great. So
my thought is also with the whole China CCP involving Disney and how they groom the children. It's very exciting to see that most of the Disney movies, how they are published in America, are not published in China. So China, they bought out because Hollywood is they are indoctrinating our children. And then you have to see, okay, who is funding them? The CCP. Where good, and it's MK Ultra. You have all those tactics.
because we have the power is in check. So you're absolutely Kills, absolutely, right? We know that for sure. So the Chinese Communist Party, why they have so much money? Because those money belong to people, but people are powerless. They're illegitimate government that subverted the previous legitimate government and took over the power and started killing their own people. So this is really what the new federal state of China is about. We're the only hope for the 1.4 billion Chinese people that locked behind the firewall and locked down in their own apartment and forced into labor camp. So that's why we're here. We're fighting. We have nowhere to retreat. America is our home. We love the rule of law. We love your freedom and democracy more than anything. That's why we're so thankful for people like you, for Jamie and you, Vicky. You stand up for that, and we have to be in this fight together.
Well, thank you guys for choosing America to be here for this fight and for fighting for that American spirit, because the American spirit is that about community and letting people have the freedom to be themselves, express themselves. You don't need to agree with it. You just need to respect other people, and that's it. And unfortunately, everything we just talked about, it shows no respect for human rights, no respect for human individual liberty, shows no respect for systems. I mean, these systems, we've talked about the election system, the media system, the corporate tech system, the military system, all of it. I think that's why we're seeing, that's a big theme with everyone here too this weekend, week so far, has been like changing the system, talk about what you could do to fix the system. And the thing is, it is important to fix the system, but more importantly, people have to understand that America is the only place with this system. This is the only place. If this system is destroyed, there's no recreating it anywhere else, because that's what happens once it's gone. It's gone.
You're absolutely right, because I wish the American people. That's why we're here. We're sending the message to say, who is your biggest enemy? You know, a lot of the things that does not make sense for you is because the CCP at the back. They're directly pumping the disinformation. They're directly dividing you. Okay, so it's a CCP's operation, and they're very good at this because they control pretty much the world media and propaganda and pumping you the disinformation. So we want the American people to know who is really behind this thing. You see a lot of symptoms, but what the root cause? You have to go back to the root and cut down, the root, and then you will have a better America.
I'm just curious. So that we were talking about 1992 with all these attorneys and that law changing. Do we happen to know of any of the senators at the time who signed on to this bill?
We don't know. This is actually the Chinese government that opened up. Because prior to that, if you know, the 2001, the Chinese entering the WTO. So China has been a closed market for quite a while. They don't a lot of things they don't a lot of American business or institutions to come to United States, come to China. But in 1992, they agreed. They say, okay, China officially opened the door for your law professionals. Okay, so in 1992, they put a lot of stringent restrictions. They tell you what you cannot do in China. Despite that, a lot of American companies rushed into China because for money. It's a lucrative business. And because the China government, the CCP, the dictatorship took off, during that period of time, 1992 to 2020, the WHO, they enter, and then they started listing their companies, the Chinese controlled companies on all the stock exchange overseas, right? So that's where the real danger is, because now they're stealing not only your technology, not only your and also your money, your pension fund, because American investors investing in China. So are you worried about this trends to be continued? What do we need to do? What do average American need to do to stop that?
Pay cash.
Well, yeah.
So what I think...
Stop stealing your American money.
Yeah. And start with paying cash. Because when you use your credit card and your debit card, you are supporting the federal bank system. And who owns the federal bank system goes back to China again. Yeah. So
what I meant is stealing American money without even American people realizing it. Because they, the equity, the investment fund, they're brokers of the Chinese Communist Party. But the average investors doesn't know. So we need to do more of this kind of education to people. So you guys making documentaries. So I'm wishing to see you make more about how do we take the CCP down. Because we only have a very limited time. So I will give you probably 20 seconds to finish this interview, okay?
Want to say anything else quick?
I want to say I'm very thankful for the Chinese protesters with the white paper. You are very brave, and keep on the fight. Don't lose the faith in the fight, and please don't give up, and believe in God or in the faith, in something that the world or the free world will be free again, and free China.
And I would just like to thank you so much for having us on here. And if everyone who's watching could please check out the PatriotChicks.com. Let us know about different topics and issues that matter the way you just did. We'll love to look into more of this more, work on more documentary series about this. And if anyone has any experiences that they want to let us know about, please reach out.
Yep.
You can find us at the PatriotChicks.com. You can find us on Instagram and everywhere else with that. And yeah, just reach out. Let us know what you know.
Absolutely awesome. Thank you so much, Amy. Thank you. Thank you, Vicky.
so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was amazing.
Yeah.